Dean, one of your articles, one of your Dean's Report articles, talked about the gathering storm and how this arrives on January 20th and what we can do to prepare for a Trump presidency. I thought that was brilliant. Lay it out for us.
Sure, and that term is actually from Winston Churchill. I mean, yes. He has a whole series of books. The Gathering Storm was the rise of Nazi Germany, and he saw what they meant, and he was warning out there. Winston Churchill, I'm inspired by him in certain areas, and one is his steadfast refusal to bend the knee to Hitler when people were saying, well, make a deal. And he was warning about Hitler when Hitler was in the early days, before he started the Blitzkrieg. So the Gathering Storm was what Winston Churchill warned about, and I think that's instructive to us. There is a gathering storm, and this is the lull before that storm. On January 20th at noon Eastern time, Donald Trump will become president. My view, and I tell this to people not to scare anyone, but so they can prepare, is that it'll be worse than you imagine. It is worse than we want to imagine. You could imagine it, but you don't want to. That's what I think it's going to be. And I say that, you mentioned Timothy Snyder. In his book on tyranny, he talks about when the unimaginable happens, don't be silent. You have to prepare for it. And the idea being these fascists, authoritarians, want to scare you and paralyze you with fear. So what you do is prepare now. And how we prepare now is by building more alliances now, getting more active in organizations now, building friends, kindred spirits online, if it's Blue Sky, wherever it might be, tuning into Tom's show, my show, the other shows, becoming part of these communities, joining organizations, maybe move on, indivisible, you pick their organization. But prepare now. And Democratic leaders have abandoned us, except for a few people. Bernie's still out there speaking out, and others. Vice President Harris and I was a big fan in the campaign. We see a report last week. Her career is not over. She might run for governor. She might run for president in the future. You're our leader. You told us Trump was a fascist threat. Literally, you said fascist, a threat to our democracy. And where are you? Where is Joe Biden, who said that Donald Trump and MAGA was an existential threat to the foundation of our republic? His exact words. You're a welcoming guy to the White House. You should be leading in one voice, a playbook saying, look what's coming and here's how we're going to fight it. Instead of rolling over by them and hearing Tom talking about Democrats saying we're finding common ground with Trump. Why is it Republicans never try to find common ground with Joe Biden or Barack Obama? All they try to do is make them a one-term president and defeat them and block them every way possible. We need Democrats who are fighters. Either they lied to us about the threat that Trump was, and they weren't lying. And now they backed off because it's easier to do this. So the base has to be the leadership going forward. We have to take the fight to Trump. I keep saying this. We know who Trump is. There'll be no honeymoon. There's no meeting him halfway. And more importantly, we know who we are. And we're not going to compromise our values for this man to get along and go along. It's not going to happen. Not on our watch. This is our republic, and we're going to keep fighting for it.
Did you ever read the history of the White Rose Society in Germany?
No, but you mentioned it to me, I think, and I should look. I love reading, so I've got a lot of books.
It was a college student-led movement.
Oh, yes.
Anti-Hitler
I did.
movement.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
and they killed them. The students.
The man and woman who were kind of boyfriend-girlfriend who started the thing ended up being very, very publicly executed. And arguably that's because they really didn't get their act together until well into the 30s. And, we have now the benefit of history. So, in our final 30 seconds here, your thoughts on that?
Look, Hitler, again, using that analogy, the first camps he built were for political dissidents and his critics, and had them killed the night of the long knives, the blood purge. Then it became later the Holocaust. He first came to silence critics. Donald Trump will follow that playbook. I just don't know if it's going to be bloody or it's going to be just using the threat of DOJ to silence you, me, and everyone else listening.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out. The great Dean Obeidallah. Check out his Substack, Dean's Report, over on Substack.com. And, of course, right here on SiriusXM every weekday, 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Dean, thanks so much for dropping by.
Thanks,
it's always
Tom.
great talking.
Great chatting with you.
Thank you.